Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to start talking about different types of factoring. Okay, so you're going to need a pen or pencil, a foldable, a calculator perhaps, and your thinking caps on. All right? So somewhere on your foldable, you can write it on the back if you want, or on the front, it's up to you. But our learning targets for today are I can take a greatest common factor out of an expression. And the second one is I can factor by grouping. That's going to be with 4 terms. All right, so get those written somewhere on your foldable, please, whether it's on the front cover or on the back side. Now, we know how to multiply out 2 factors to create an expression. We've done it lots of times. We're going to distribute, correct? So we're going to take x times x times -1, 3 times x, and 3 times -1. Now you guys, this doesn't have to be written down anywhere, okay? I'm just going through this with you. So we're going to get x squared minus x plus 3x minus 3. We're going to combine our like terms and we would get x squared plus 2x minus 3. So that is our new expression. Okay, we've also looked at ones that look very similar to this. I've got x plus 3 and x minus 3. Same thing, I'm going to distribute x times x, which is x squared, x times -3, which is -3x, 3 times x, which is a positive 3x, and then 3 times -3, which would give us a -9. Combine our like terms, our x's cancel out, and we get x squared minus 9. Now, we have gone and we have done lots of distributing. Now what we're going to do is work our way backwards. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what this word factor means. All right, in the long run is a decisive factor in the life of an individual and nations alike. Teddy Roosevelt. Confidence is the most important single factor in this game. No matter how great of natural talent, there is only one way to obtain and sustain it. Work. Jack Nichols. Definition by dictionary.com of what a factor is. Any of the characteristics, conditions, etc. that bring a result, element, or constant, that make a thing what it is. Okay, so none of this needs to be written down, you guys. We're just getting a better picture of what a factor is. Now comes all the writing. Here we go. I need your beautiful, beautiful factoring foldable out so we can start getting to work on this. All right, so the only thing you should have had written down so far is your learning targets. And if we're going to start by opening up to what does it mean to be a factor in math? So open that up for me, please. I need you to write this down. Is to find out what was originally multiplied to create an expression. So just talking about when we were like distributing, okay, we're going to go back to that. Or we could also write this. We're going to undo the multiplication process. Okay, that's what factoring is. So please make sure you get that written down in that open flap. Now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about greatest common factor. So if you would open up to the greatest common factor part of your foldable, and on the top there, I need you to write this, greatest common factor. What is the largest number and or variable or variables that can be divided out of each term in the expression? So we're going to take things out of it. So we have 3 examples here that we're going to run through. In example number 1, I always like to go through and look at what number I can take out of all of these. So I have 6, 12, and 18. The largest number that can come out of all 3 of these is 6. So I'm going to take a 6 out of each. Now if I look at this for my variable, in order to take a variable out, it has to be in each one. There isn't a variable in each one, so all I can take out is 6. So whatever I write on the bottom, I'm going to write out front here, and I'm going to put what's left over in my parentheses. So if I simplify, my 6's cancel, so I have x squared. -12 divided by 6 is a -2, and I'm going to keep my x. And 18 divided by 6 is 3, so I have plus 3. This is my answer for this problem. Okay, I can't simplify it any further. All right, next problem, example number 2. First thing I'm going to look at, what number I can take out of both of these. So I have 14 and 7. So I can take a 7 out of both. So I'm going to put that down. Now I have x to the fourth and x. They both have an x. I can only take out the one that has the smallest exponent. So that's going to be my x to the first power. So I'm going to take an x out of both things. Since that's what I took out, that's what's going to be written in front. I have 7x, and then I have to fill in what's left when I simplify. So 14 divided by 7 is 2. Now I have 4 x's on the top, so if I want to, I can write those out. And if I'm going to cancel those out, I can cancel out one of them because there's one on the bottom. That leaves me with x cubed here. Okay? Minus, now my 7's and my x cancel out. If everything cancels out, I'm still going to be left with 1. So this is my final answer for this one. I have 7x times, in parentheses, 2x cubed minus 1. All right, moving on to our last example in this section, ladies and gentlemen. First thing, again, we have to look at all of our numbers. I've got 28, 16, and 8. I need to find my largest number that can go into all of these, okay? And in this case, the largest number that can go into all 3 of these is 4. So I'm going to put a 4 down here. That's the number that I can take out. Now I need to start looking at my variables. If I look at all 3 of them, all of them have an x. I need to take the one with the smallest exponent. So that's going to be my x to the first. So I have x, x, x out of each of these. Now I'm also looking at this and I have a y in each of these. So I'm going to take a y out. Y, y, y. Now this 4xy has to be written out in front. So 4xy is written in the front, and then we're going to fill in the rest. If we look at this, 28 divided by 4 is going to give me 7. Okay, I have x squared. That means I have 2 of them. I can cancel out 1. That means I have 1 left over. My y's are going to cancel, so I'm not going to have anything written there. Okay, then I'm going to have my plus 16 divided by 4 is 4. X is here. On this one, I have x to the 5th, so I have 5 x's. If you want to write them out, you can. I'm going to cancel one of them out, so I'm left with 4. So I have x to the 4th power. My y's, again, are going to cancel. My last one, I have plus 8 divided by 4, which is 2. My x's cancel. Now I have 2 y's. Only one of them is canceling, so I'm going to be left with y at the end. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my final answer when I take out my greatest common factor. So I'm taking out the largest number and the number of variables that are possible to be taken out. All right, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. So that's our greatest common factor, or GCF. Now we're going to talk about factoring by grouping. Okay, we're talking about factoring by grouping. We're going to group into pairs. Okay, so we're going to make into 2 pairs of 2. And then we're going to take out the greatest common factor of that pair, so what we were just working on. Once we have that done, we're going to take that and we're going to factor it what is common between the 2. Okay, one more time we're going to factor it. Now we're going to do 3 examples here. So first thing we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to break it into 2 pairs. Okay, we're going to break it into 2 parts. So I'm going to take my first part here, and then I'm going to break in my second part. And all I'm going to do in my 2 parts is I'm going to take out the greatest common factor. So my first one, I'm going to look, my largest number I can take out is 2. So I'm going to take a 2 out of both of these. Then I'm going to talk about my variables. My smallest exponent, so that's x squared. So I'm going to take out x squared out of both of these ones. So I'm going to write my 2x squared out front, and then I'm going to have what's left over. So if I simplify this, my 2's cancel. I have x cubed up here, x squared down here. So 2 of those are going to cancel. I'm going to be left with x. Then I'm going to take 12 divided by 2. So I'm going to have plus 6x squared up here. So we're going to get rid of one of each of those. Excuse me, x squared we have on both, so those are going to cancel out. So I'm just going to have x plus 6. Now if I move over to the other side, I'm going to take out my greatest common factor here. I have -5 and -30. They're both negative. If that happens, we want to take out a negative number. So our largest number we can take out of 5 and 30 is 5. So I'm going to take out a -5 out of both of these. Okay? And I can't take out a variable because I only have an x and then a no x. So -5 is all I'm going to be able to take out. Then I have to see what I have left over. So if I cancel out my -5's here, I'm just left with x. -30 divided by -5 is a positive 6. So now we're done with our first part. Now we have to move on to the second part. Okay, what do they have in common? Well, what do these two factors have in common? They have a plus 6 and a plus 6. So we're going to once again take out that greatest common. We're going to take out x plus 6. We're going to take out x plus 6 here as well. Now that's going to be written out in front. So I have x plus 6. And then what is left over? Okay, if those come out, so they cancel, I'm left with 2x squared minus 5. So in my other one, I'm going to have 2x squared minus 5. Now if I would distribute this out, I would get exactly the same thing that I started with. So this is my final answer, ladies and gentlemen. My two factors that would make my new expression. All right. Moving on to example number 2, we're going to do the exact same thing. First thing we're going to do is break it into two parts. So there's my first part, here's my second part. My first part, I have 2x cubed plus 4x squared. Starting with the number, I can take out 2 out of both of these. If I have an x cubed and an x squared, I'm going to take out that x squared. So I'm going to have 2x squared written out in front. Now on the inside of this one, what's left over, if I take those out, my 2's cancel, x cubed and x squared, I'm going to be left with just x. And then I have plus 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and my x squares cancel completely out. So there's that one. My second one, I have positive 1x plus 2. So the only thing I can take out of this, ladies and gentlemen, is a positive 1. So I'm going to put plus 1 up in front. And what's left over is x plus 2. Now I'm going to do the same thing. What do they have in common? Well, in this one they have an x plus 2 and an x plus 2. So if I take out x plus 2, so that's going to be written out in front. So I have x plus 2. Those cancel out. What's left over? So we're going to write over what's left over. In this case, we're going to have 2x squared plus 1. And this is going to be my factored answers, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? All right, exciting. On to our last example for the day, and then we will be done. Okay? We're going to break it up. Once again, you guys, we're going to break it up into two different groups. So here's my first group, here's my second group. Now I need to take out my greatest common factor here. So I have 12 and 9, so my greatest common factor in this one is going to be 3. So I'll take out a 3 on both of these. Now I have an x squared and an xy. Well, only variable they have in common is x, so I'm going to take that out. So in front I'm going to have 3x. Inside, I'm going to have, if I divide this, I'm going to get 4x plus 3y. My x's are going to cancel. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then I had that y left over. Okay, now my next part, I have to take what's what they have in common out. Now I have two negatives, so I want to take out a -1. We always want to get rid of those negatives. And also if I look, first one has an x, but the second one doesn't, so I don't take that. I have a y and a y squared, so I can take out a y. So I'm taking out -1y. Is this part? Now that we have that done, we are going to break it up even further. So I'm going to have in my parentheses 4, y's cancel, so 4x. Now two negatives make a positive, so I'm going to have a positive 3y. Now if we figure out what they have in common here, we have these 4x plus 3y, so that's what we're going to get rid of. So that's going to go in front of my answer, so I have 4x plus 3y is one factor. Now what's left over? I have my 3x minus 1y. So my other factor is 3x minus 1y. That is the factored version of this expression. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. Get excited. I hope that you guys have the most amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.